The special master in this AMC litigation has now confirmed that the judge should do this reverse split, or at least they put their recommendation out there. AMC stock is down about 9.5% today. Been a very rough day so far. So, what's going to happen from here with AMC? What do the options look like today from hedge funds, institutions, as well as the shorting activity? Because, I think it's pretty clear what's about to happen next. So, we're going to get into it. Let me know if you disagree, if you agree, if you have different thoughts or opinions on what is said here in this video. In the meantime, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comments section as well. If you guys also want to come trade with me live in real time every time I make a trade, link down below in the description of this video also. Now, AMC stock is very red today, right? I just said about 9.5% in the red today. This was to some degree to be expected, an initial bearish reaction based off of this reverse split. And I know the judge hasn't made a ruling on this. She's going to by the end of this month. But at this point, it's all priced in. This is the final leg of pricing in this reverse split that you are going to see. Meaning that at the end of this month, when the judge actually does rule for this reverse split, up or down 1 or 2% is kind of what you could expect off of that. You could actually rally off of that. And subsequently, after the end of this month, so really in the month of July, I expect to see a rally with AMC. And that's the sell the rumor, buy the news event that we're seeing. People are selling the rumor. People are selling this event, right? And they're going to buy the news. And that news is going to be bullish for AMC, fundamentally speaking. And that's what this is ultimately going to revert back to, is has the fundamentals changed? Has shorting AMC, have they exhausted all of those potential profits? And I think the question at that point would be yes, especially if AMC does raise billions and billions worth of capital. There's no short thesis left. So I think when you look at it in those simplest terms, it's pretty easy to see that you're likely to rally after the reverse split actually happens. Historically, AMC rallies after they raise capital every single time. So this is not like rocket science. This is not projecting, things that have never happened before. This happens, meaning AMC rallies every time they have raised capital in the past. This is not a new concept. We know this. Why would this time be any different? Well, I don't think it would be. Now, if you look at the stock on a technical basis, the low that we seen was $3.77 per share. I don't think we get back to that low exactly, precisely, but it's possible that is the low and you do come down to that. I think after today being the bad news is priced into the stock, it makes sense to go long here because you got to look at it from a lens of after the reverse split. That's all that matters at this point. Forget what happens from now until the court date, the end of this month. You got to start thinking what's going to happen after that court date. And again, AMC is going to raise a lot of capital. Historically, the stock does rally when they raise a lot of capital. And this time is probably not going to be any different. But could you trend to the lows? Maybe it's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible to go to the lows because you're pretty close to the lows already. You're give or take 9% from the lows. So it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is possible. If you look at the RSI, what happens every time the RSI gets oversold or close to oversold? AMC stock rallies. A lot of the time it rallies very aggressively, right? Back here, even in March of 2022, you were oversold in the RSI, you caught a bounce, you sold off again, the RSI was close to going technically oversold, And then the stock took off and rallied from $8 per share to $21 per share. What about back here? You got oversold on the RSI. The stock bounced, started an uptrend from $5 per share into a high of $17 per share. You were close to oversold here. What happened? Stock bounced from $5 per share to about $9 per share. You were oversold right here, and the stock traded sideways for a few days, and then you bounced from the low that you seen in 2023 at $3.77 per share. You bounced all the way up to almost $8.50 per share. What happened even more recently? The stock was close to oversold in the RSI. Literally the next day it bounced. And you went higher, really a slow and steady grind higher from $4.36 per share to about $5 per share. So point in being that every time the RSI is oversold, you have bounced in the past or even close to oversold. Well, the RSI is officially oversold, sitting at 28.40. So again, supporting the fact that you probably get a bounce over the next coming days, next coming weeks. And the month of July, in my personal opinion, is going to be a pretty bullish one. Now, if we take a look at what's happening as far as the short activity here today, the short percentage of free float that is currently sold short sits at about 24%. Okay. This is up 0.39% here on the day. You're basically at 24% short interest. You got 123.81 million shares that are sold short. That is up almost 500,000 shares here today. Cost to borrow numbers. Cost to borrow average sitting at 341.63%. Cost to borrow max 370.5%. Cost to borrow minimum 8.26%. Interactive brokers cost to borrow fees, which this is where you've seen a huge change. 195%. Yesterday's cost to borrow fees from interactive brokers was 100%. So you have seen this double from yesterday. And considering the stock is in the red today, cost to borrow fees going higher just simply tells you lots of volatility is to come. Another reason why you're probably in the red today is some of the option activity. You have seen 55 orders today, totaling $10 million with a positive order value of 3%. If you take a look at some of the options coming through, a lot of those big orders are still the $10 puts. A couple of those for September coming in, a couple of the $4 puts coming through, actually a $5 call that came through today. $5 put, bunch of $4 puts, as well as a couple of the $4 calls thrown in there. Probably a hedge, I would imagine. A July 21st $10 put, August 18th $10 put for $3.5 million. So this story really hasn't changed. It's being dominated still by large orders that continue to come into AMC stock, and that causes market makers to go out and short the stock. And that's simply it. Now, after this reverse split, AMC is going to have a lot of capital. The business fundamentally has been improving this whole time, so that's not really a cause for concern. But I think a lot of people are confused about what happens with the short position. What happens with the days to cover? What happens with cost to borrow fees? And the simplest thing that I could put or say is nothing happens with any of that. Let me explain this a little bit more. So the days to cover is sitting at 8.9. This is up almost 61% in the last 3 months. Days to cover has been shooting higher. And that is because the days to cover is calculated by the amount of shares sold short, which let's just remind ourselves, what is it? Call it 124 million. Divided by the average daily volume, and that gives you an almost 9 days to cover. So what's going to happen when the reverse split happens is AMC's share price is going to go higher, right? AMC's float in doing so is going to decrease to allow AMC to raise capital. So the essentially calculation here, the volume will also drop at the same time, respective to the same degree as the float drops. So the float size is going to drop. The volume is also going to drop. Now, does volume increase after the reverse split? Probably, and that's another thing that would be bullish for AMC. Increased volume typically leads stocks to go higher. And you're sitting at very low volume levels. And that's basically what the days to cover is telling you. So days to cover is not going to change at all. Short interest is not going to change at all, because bottom line is shorts have short positions on AMC. They're going to need to cover their short positions. That's it. If they want the short interest to go down, you have to cover. There's no reverse split. There's nothing that can make a short position go away unless you cover or that company goes bankrupt. That's it. The only two ways short positions go away. So that's not going to change. Cost to borrow fees might change. They might actually go higher, as we are seeing today. This might continue because obviously after such a catalyst like this, like a reverse split, you're going to expect more volatility. So you would expect higher cost to borrow fees. And usually AMC does rally after it raises capital. So I would imagine cost to borrow fees would go higher in anticipation of an upside rally after June 29th. So really nothing's going to change. And that's the easiest way to boil it down. Again, if you wanted to think about these things, if you're concerned about them and you don't understand, something like a days to cover is one of the most bullish things we have going for us. I'm telling you, there's low volume. It's hard for shorts to get out of their massive short positions. But simplest way to look at it, again, is the average, the amount of shares that are currently sold short. Keep in mind, the amount of shares sold short, 124 million, that will also go down by 10x as the float goes down by 10x. So the percentage doesn't change here, just the numbers are going to change. And that just means, believe it or not, when you do have a smaller float as well, it's easier for AMC to rally. It's harder for AMC to rally with 530 some million shares outstanding. If there is 50 million shares outstanding, if you get, couple million in additional volume, that can have a big role to play in a rally for AMC. So I think that is also something that is worth pointing out to all of us, and something that we all need to know. Khaleesi, click that button. Stop touching it, please. She's about to make the camera die. Nope, other way. Click it one more time. Yep, good to go. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Nope. Yep, good to go. Watch your show. Oh my gosh, kids, man, 3-year-olds. So that is basically it for this segment of this video. We seen Fed Jerome Powell spoke today. We didn't really get any headlines out of that. Nothing really changed. You see me? Yeah. Nothing really changed from Fed Jerome Powell. There wasn't any jaw droppers. There was no change from yesterday, so that really didn't affect our markets. You had some economic data come out as well today, but that also really didn't affect anything. So I'm not sure if you guys want to hear it. We'll give you a rundown just in case you are somebody that does want to hear it. One of the biggest things that actually happened today was the Bank of England raised their interest rates by 50 basis points by 2 rate hikes. And that was really not expected by the market, so that did cause a little bit of instability in the beginning of the trading day. But all in all, it kind of faded. The markets are in the red here today, so not a huge deal. Now, the Chicago Fed National Activity Index came in negative 0.15. You were expecting positive 0.15, so that's not very good. Initial jobless claims came in at 264,000. You were expecting 271,000, so a little bit better than expectations. You did have Fed Bowman, Fed Mester that spoke. already today. Those really didn't give you reactions as well. Kansas Fed Composite Index, these ones fell quite a bit. Coming in at -12, you were expecting a +1 for that reading. And Kansas Fed Manufacturing Index came in at -10. You were expecting -1. So pretty bad economic data that you're getting out of the Kansas Fed District. But not enough to draw conclusions about things such as recession, things of that nature. So we'll have to see. We're going to get more economic data coming out tomorrow and over the next couple of weeks, and that's really going to drive this market from here on out. Again, with AMC, I don't think there's anything to worry about at this point. If you've been holding long, the selling is probably over at this point. I don't think the stock's going to fall too much from here. Let me know what you guys think about that down below in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.